Intrepid viewers, how are you traveling? I've got to get something off my chest. One of the more irritating things that's happened this week, and there are always a lot of those, was Ted Cruz got the support of 3 judges in a unanimous decision that he could keep lobbying for more money to pay off his personal debt for his run. What is that? So apparently you can keep raising money after the event up to 250,000, weird enough, but he spent 260,000 of his own money and he was arguing he should be able to get it all back. And they supported that by saying if they didn't support it, it undermines his First Amendment rights. Isn't that about being able to speak freely or something? So when did it start costing $250,000 to be able to speak? If he decided to spend 260,000 of his own money, that's his business. But you run the risks as well as the rewards. But no, he's now got a legal judgment supporting that. I'm outraged, intrepid viewers. Takes a bit to outrage me these days, but it really got me. But on to better news. It's a mixed bag always, isn't it? So in better news, Mr. My Pillow. I mean, in years to come, just think of history classes in 20 years' time. There was this guy who used to make pillows and then he became a confidant of the American president and he did all this stuff, right? Really? Okay, so Mr. My Pillow has filed a complaint against Dominion voting machines. And the lawyer who actually did the paperwork and submitted the complaint left the company the next day, meaning that's code in legal land for this is going to be a disaster. This case is not going to fly. Well, you'd hope so, wouldn't you, really? But isn't it ironic? It was really the Dems who had the most to lose by dodgy voting machines back in the day and possibly even in this election too. Remember the Al Gore, fiasco about the butterfly holes in the ballots or something. It's so weird, but we'll have to follow the Dominion court case because it's going to reveal a lot of things about how the election was tampered with by the Republicans. So it's still important to watch. Now, Swalwell, is it Eric Swalwell? He's suing Trump, Giuliani, and Mo Brooks directly over the insurrection. So I want to have a look at how that court case will go. Let's hope they have different judges for that. So the Swalwell case about the insurrection, the Swalwell legal case. The Swalwell legal case. Oh, the very first card is the devil. I don't think it's Swalwell. Oh, no, King of Swords. Group work. Right. Like I said, the devil came up first, and this is the stuff they keep doing, but this is very serious because it is talking about January 6th, so it's important. And this was the diabolical behaviour of the 3 indictees around it. They were not alone, we all know that, but this is Trump, Giuliani, and Mo Brooks. There they are. There they are too, as the smug merchants of industry, thinking they're fine, right? Because these guys, they're not used to anyone saying no to them, and they're certainly not used to being, Trump's used to being sued. That's been happening every moment of his business life since he started. but they're not used to court cases going against them, right? So they're telling themselves they've got all this other stuff going on. Who's this guy Swalwell? They're not worried about it. But perhaps they should be, because this is a judge, I'll go as far as to say a real judge with a real brain and a real responsibility to his legal duties, coming down hard on their little lily-livered buttocks. Right? So I think at the end of the day, a deal will be struck, and this is the three of them, right? Trump, Giuliani, Mo Brooks. Despite doing what they can behind the scenes and using a lot of money, they're not going to stint on this. They're not going to win. They're going to have to pay out quite a significant sum of money to someone. It won't be to Swalwell himself. I think this is paying out money in legal fees, and all of them are in legal jeopardy for a whole range of things. So this is going to be just one of the cases. But I think in this case, the judgment is going to go against them eventually. Now, we have to get very, very patient with these legal wheelings and dealings, right? Legal stuff takes time, but we're going to see a few wins down the track. There'll be losses, but there'll be wins, and I think this will be one of them for decency. Okay, so oh yes, now a viewer asked, because Trump has such a bad reputation with lawyers because he doesn't pay them and he doesn't listen to them, and the combination is not good. It's really not good. If you're a lawyer, he is possibly the worst client you could ever end up with. So because the others have been burned, the pool he can draw on is very small. So this viewer wanted to know, will it only be Dershowitz, Alan Dershowitz, who'll be defending Trump, because Dershowitz is the last one left standing. So other than that, he'll have to use a public defender. I love that. Or someone who got their legal, qualification in a Cocoa Pops box or something. Speaking of weird lawyers, what about Sidney Powell? That convention, it must be a week or 10 days ago now, that Republican convention where Trump went with his, looking like he had his pants on back the front. They probably weren't, but the effect was the same. Sidney Powell, who's always been a nasty bit of work, and she was dressed so weirdly. If you haven't seen what Sidney Powell was wearing at that conference, have a look. She looked like she was auditioning for being the mom to a punk band or something. She was wearing a T-shirt with all these weird patches and badges and stuff. Very weird, very weird. And she was saying to the audience about Trump coming back, oh, it's easy. You just simply choose another inauguration date. She said that. That's all you need to put him back into. Now, that's delirious. This is weapon-grade lunacy. So she's a lawyer he could draw on. But this is about Dershowitz. Dershowitz and Trump. Oh, I'm hearing Epstein. This could affect things. All right, let's have a look. Nine of Cups. Magician. King of Wands. Okay, so in this case, I think what these cards mean is this Nine of Cups is Trump. Let's call it the old Trump, because the new Trump, I think, I I always say he's not as confident as he was because he's a narcissist. He's always confident, but he's much more stressed. So this is the old Donald Trump to some extent. The magician here, not always working for good, and it's a pity because Dershowitz's history was quite amazing, and then he turned to the dark side, and this is the dark magician here as Dershowitz. So I think he will be involved. He will come up with fairly demonic sort of ideas of a defense for the Donald. What do I think here? There's more to this. The King of Wands and the Knight of Swords. So the King of Wands, I think, represents, it might be one judge or it could be a panel of judges when it gets to this stage. But it's going to be very rushed and not a good legal argument, if you like. He's going to start off making a strong legal argument, but it's going to end with him being almost out of control. You know, it could be this is next to Trump being out of control, or it could be Dershowitz out of control. But the whole shebang will be out of control and rashly running forward in this way. But I'm more interested in what I heard about Epstein, because Dershowitz's name came up in conjunction with Epstein. So I'm going to just look at that. Will that come out and undermine the case? Because Dershowitz might have to just, I don't know, how's he going to defend himself about Epstein? I think, you know, Bill and Melinda Gates have split up after 30 years or 40 years or something. Why? Because of Epstein and that story. Melinda said, you know what, I'm out of here. So let's look at Dershowitz and Epstein. Will that have any impact on anything? Let's look at this. Oh, another good news. Governor Kemp of Georgia was booed by Trump people because he isn't Trump enough. But still, this isn't, I'll get onto that next. How do these Republicans feel about being abused from their own? But in the meantime, Dershowitz and Epstein, what happened there? Oh, yes. Okay. So bang in the middle, the Seven of Swords, the betrayal or the rip-off, running away with things. This was, I think, this represents Epstein recording. Everybody, run. He recorded, and Ghislaine recorded everybody. So back in the day, they were all friends, not realizing they were being recorded. It's amazing how these really smart men can be so stupid, and stupid men get even stupider with this sort of thing, confronted with young girls on romantic islands and being flown across and all of that. They still get sucked into it. So this is when they were friends. Epstein was still already doing the dirty. I think Dershowitz did a deal with Epstein when he was still alive. I think he might have paid some money. This is balancing the ledger. I think he might have paid some money to Epstein, saying when he really needed it near the end, I'll pay for this and that, but you've got to destroy my records. I'll just do a clarifier on whether Epstein or Ghislaine did, but I think that was the deal. Dershowitz then thought he was out of trouble. Happy days. But this is the offer he doesn't want. He really, really doesn't want. And the issue, rather than the offer, is for this to be exposed. I think we're going to hear more about Alan Dershowitz with his pants down in inappropriate places. And this could undermine one of the biggest cases. Let's hope it's all going to be racketeering and not just tax avoidance, but anything will do. But it's going to be exposed. I'll just do a clarifier on that. Were the Dershowitz films deleted? Were the Dershowitz films deleted? Were the Dershowitz films deleted? In that rushed card, I think there was a rush to do it. I think because I just heard Ghislaine again. Now I've been talking about her, so it's not surprising. Could just be my inner voice. But I think this was her realising if they didn't do it really quickly, they could all lose his legal prowess. And I think she might have agreed in principle, but then she got arrested. So because of this rush, I don't think it was completed. I think there is still Dershowitz stuff out there that we're going to hear about, and it's going to be exposed. Oh, interesting. Okay. So what I want to ask, now the Yeti runs around calling everyone who isn't his best friend a rhino and abusing them for not stealing the election for him. I mean, this is just so mad. So how are they starting to feel? I think Abbott in Texas was also booed. So these are right-wing guys. You know, these voters are normally their bread and butter. Did you see also, intrepid viewers, the Attorney General of Texas said Trump would have lost the election if there hadn't been interference. This is a big admission. Really, Beto should take them on and follow that up or something. But I'm changing to my circus cards to ask about these Republicans being abused by Trump. How are they handling it? How are they feeling and how are they handling it? These are GOP being abused by Trump. GOP being abused by Trump. This would have to include Mike Pence, wouldn't it? Understatement of the Year award goes to Mike Pence. Well, I don't think Trump and I are going to see eye to eye on January 6th. So this is Pence and all the others who've got abused by Trump. Let's see what the cards have to say. Well, they're deluded, their voters are deluded, the Yeti's deluded, there's no shortage of madness and confusion and not knowing. This is about not knowing what to choose. They don't know what to do about it. It kind of makes sense. They can't like it, obviously, but they don't know what to do about it. Ha! Their challenge is to, this is the Page of Cups, to keep the money coming in and to get the message out to the people. Pages are messengers. How do they message their people that they're not the bad guys? This is what the challenge is, and they don't know how to do it. Oh, this is really interesting. I hope you're interested. Now, the Four of Wands, this is in the background, and the Republican elephants turned up because there's a few elephants in this deck here. So with the Four of Wands, the thing to notice about it, it's normally a celebration, but see how big the wands are compared with the elephants. And this is about diminished celebration. So it's in the past position, which means for this question, they were suspicious of Trump right from the beginning, but they agreed to go with it and pretend to be part of the gravy train and the circus. Wheel of Fortune, this is their fate. Oh, I am so happy about this. I'll show you in a second. So their through line, as I call it, when you do a 5-card spread like this, the through line, Wheel of Fortune, this is the card of fate. They are all part of a bigger thing that is going on now for all of us. It's going on for the world. It's part of a really big thing. We are living through a very fateful time of history. And because they don't know what to do, and the other part of their message is how to keep their voters on board, they're in trouble. Hermit. Now, to me, these are public figures, so they're going to, it's a comparative hermit sort of behavior. They're not going to speak out as much. They haven't got a strategy. So they're going to just keep a really low profile. So I'm going to go further here. Are they going to band together to try and do something about Trumpism? Because we've got to remember, Trump's personal star is fading, but he has unleashed the phenomenon that is Trumpism, which is to be as racist as you ever dreamt you could be, to be as sexist as you ever wanted to be, to just be as vile and cruel and shallow and greedy as you can possibly aspire to be. That's what he's unleashed. It was always there. So what are they going to do a bit further out? This has taken us to now, what they're doing now, which is, I'm sure they're ringing each other and going, this is a nightmare. You know, when you get booed by your own constituents, it's not fun. What are they going to do about it? Because they don't know. So let's see. Are they going to band together and do something in the future? What are they going to do about it? Can they do anything? It's going to get worse, basically. See, they're in hermit mode, and this is temperance, keeping things in a holding pattern because they don't know what to do. Then the Queen of Swords. This might be one of the women who gets attacked by Trump, even though she's given her loyalty, you know, right until one thing, and then that's it for him. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It's what you did half an hour ago. That's all that matters to him. That's as far back as the Yeti's brain can go. So it could be a woman who, when she gets insulted, she might take some action that could be a bit inspiring for the others, because after that comes the 8 of Wands. And this is multiple projectiles, right? This is lots of things happening at the same time, and they're worrying things, and they're big things, and they're things that can do damage and all of that. So I think there's a woman who's going to get on the phone and try and point out to them, if they don't act, they're going to have it's going to get worse, much worse. In fact, if they do act, it's going to get worse. So this is what the Yeti does. He demands loyalty, doesn't give it, and then just marches on to the next victim. So it's not until a woman is done in that we'll see them act. and the 8, they could act together. We'll see. But they're in trouble, political trouble and personal trouble. They don't understand this dynamic because it hasn't happened before. There's always been dirty dealings in politics, but not as crude as the Yeti era, right? So they're all worried. But let's see, I wonder who the woman is. I'll do a reading on that next time if I remember. Now, in the meantime, I promised you I'd be channeling some famous people, and I've been so busy. I haven't. I'm so sorry, but I'm going to do it hopefully today. So there will be that video coming up as well as this one. Okay, so keep the comments rolling. I love you guys so much. Keep the comments happening. Don't forget the thumbs up, and I'll see you soon. Ciao.